Page 16, the C major scale. Okay, let's talk scales. The number one question is always, why do I need to learn the scale? What's the point? And it's really difficult to, I can explain it, but I can't convince you. You have to experience it pretty much, in my opinion. Because I was the same way. Why do I bother with the scales? I don't forget scales, I just want to play the pieces. If I need to learn a scale for a piece, it's in the piece, I'll just learn it in the piece. No. And then finally when I got into college and I actually learned to play the scales correctly with the correct technique, I began to understand why it was important, because in being able to do the scales correctly, it improved my playing enormously on everything. Whether it was a scale passage or not, it made a huge difference. It also makes it a lot easier in playing in the different key signatures, which we haven't had yet, but you will when you start getting into black keys involved. Knowing the scales makes that a lot easier. So whether you think you need the scale or not, in my opinion, they're extremely important and I push them. Now, let's go over this. They use what's known as tetrachords. Tetra means four, a tetrachord, four-note chord on this, because in a typical scale, let's take the C scale. It's all the white keys. We're going to start on a C and end on a C. There are 8 notes total, and if you leave the thumbs out, you get this very nice arrangement for the hands. Each one is a 4, each one is a tetrachord. There's 2 tetrachords. It works out very nicely on the scales. John Thompson series uses tetrachords. That's what I learned on when I was a little kid. Went through the John Thompson books. I like the John Thompson books because they have some really nice music in it and some really nice arrangements. They advance very quickly, but it's really nice books. Unfortunately, they use the tetrachords to teach scales. It completely messed me up. Totally messed me up. So I don't like using tetrachords. However, the book is showing it that way, so that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to encourage you at this point, and from now on, I'm going to keep harking about it. You're going to get tired of it. No, that's tough. That's what teachers do. We hark about stuff. I want you to learn the scales correctly, not like this. I have scale videos on all the major and minor scales. I need you to go and watch the introductory video. And then I need you to find the scale. They're in a playlist. Find the scale for C major, I think it's the first one. And I need you to do what I say in that video for the beginner part, the 1 octave up and down. Don't go beyond the beginner part. That's a mistake. Please don't. Stick with 1 octave up and down, because it's a different fingering than this. You're playing both hands at the same time. We haven't really done that too much, but starting in the next lesson, we're going to. And you have to cross over the thumb. We haven't done any of that. See, right now, it's always been just hand position here. But with scales, you got to be able to cross over the thumb or bring the thumb under. And there's different techniques for that, and different teachers teach different techniques, but I use the technique I was taught. It works for me. It's all explained in the scale video. Talk about accenting. I talk about dropping the wrist, working the wrist, staying loose. It's about the only place I really teach much technique is in the scale videos. So the link to the playlist for scales is in the description. I'll put it in all the rest of the videos for the book. It'll be in every description. You simply bookmark the playlist. That way, whenever you need a scale, you can go to the playlist and find your scale in there and use it. However, we're not going to use that fingering for our C major scale. We're going to do what the book tells us to do for this lesson. I prefer this fingering for these tetrachords. I just leave the thumbs out of it. The book doesn't use this fingering. They're leaving the little fingers out of it. They're going here. The little fingers aren't being used. I would, if I were your teacher and this in front of me, I would change this fingering to leave the thumbs out of it. Do 5, 4, 3, 2 here rather than this. However, your teacher may prefer that fingering out, and you should be able to do it either one anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and suggest you do this fingering, my fingering, leave the thumbs out of it. Even though the book is saying this, do this. It's just a little more comfortable. So let's look this over. It's 2 lines long, treble and bass clef, 4/4 time signature, and there's nothing but quarter notes in it. So the rhythm's pretty simple. And you're moving one hand while playing the other because the notes need to be connected and they need to be even. But you'll notice between the second and third measures, you're playing the middle C twice, one in each hand. Well, it's all right. We can do that because you start at the beginning. You're just coming up here. And as you're doing these, playing these, you get the left hand up here ready to go. So when it's time, it just does that. And then the right hand. That's all we're doing for the whole thing. Take it any speed you want. Doesn't matter, but it's got to be even and all connected, all controlled. Mention, since we are moving the hands around a bit, that when we do this, you pretty much always go over the hand you're getting. You seldom go under, only in special circumstances. So go over the hand, not under it when you're crossing. Let's play this together slowly and check all the notes and stuff. I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go.